stretch where Binghamton is super stacked in terms of depth. 3 straight matches where they'll have a ranked wrestler competing. First up is number 11, Jacob Nolan, taking on a Northwestern wrestler who was honored for senior night tonight, looking to get a little bit of his mojo back in Troy Fisher.
As you said, Troy is senior, really a leader in the room. He's qualified for NCAA a handful of times. He's a really consistent guy, an incredibly smart wrestler, super technical, guy who really, teaches people how to wrestle, which is not something you can say about everyone. He takes it seriously as an older guy in the room, bringing that mentorship to younger guys. Northwestern, a really young team this year. It's gone a long way, so really important guy for the team, and we'll be sad to see him go.
Well, Troy Fisher, a 2-time NCAA qualifier. Jacob Nolan ranked number 11. A 3-time qualifier. This is Troy Fisher's first season competing at 184. These two wrestlers actually met at 174 pounds about 2.5 years ago at the Cliff Keen Invitational in Vegas. That one going to Fisher, won by decision 7-3. Both wrestlers have moved up a weight class since then. Jacob Nolan winning his first 2 matches at the national championships last year.
Troy shot in for a single leg there, couldn't quite get it. Nolan comes to a front headlock position, and they will stalemate that. But a little action on the edge of the mat in that sequence.
Troy Fisher back into this Northwestern lineup. Did not wrestle against Purdue last weekend. In his place, John Halverson dropping down to 184. And you take a look at these records, it could really not be any different. Troy Fisher 1-5, but again, a lot of those matches, decisions. For Jacob Nolan, he's won his last 9 dual matches. He's 9-1 on the season, including back-to-back wins by tech fall against Erickson Velasquez of Hofstra and Nicholas Oliveria Brown. He also did not wrestle at his team's last meet, that one against Princeton.
Nolan in on a single leg here, able to almost collect it for the 3, but Troy with some really savvy wrestling to catch that wrist and prevent him from getting that takedown. Really good, final line of defense wrestling there from Troy.
Troy Fisher knew what needed to be done to avoid conceding those points to Jacob Nolan. Short time now, 25 seconds left. Both of these wrestlers, redshirt seniors, looking to make a deep run into their respective conference championships. Jacob Nolan. Now Troy Fisher in on a single leg, but the shin whizzer from Jacob Nolan. Close wrestling there at the end, but no points scored between these two.
Great timing on that single leg, but doesn't quite get it. And here's Nolan's single leg where he comes around, puts Troy in really close to finishing position, but Troy able to catch that hand as he comes across and prevent that, that 3-point takedown.
Troy Fisher will start on bottom. Kept a lot of his ranked opponents close. Isaiah Salazar ranked number 6. Lenny Pinto number 3. Both of those just 4- and 5-point decision losses. You see here a quick escape from Troy Fisher. First one on the board here at 184 pounds. Jacob Nolan finishing second at his conference championship last season, following up a 4th and 5th place finish previous 2 years. Looking to advance even more now, trying to win at this weight class. The conference championships in 2 weeks. And Troy Fisher in on a single leg, but well defended by Jacob Nolan.
Troy definitely with the greater volume of offense here, but this is not a position that you want to be as the offensive guy. Shooting that single leg, getting extended, but good job to prevent any counter offense by Nolan in that position.
1 minute remaining in the period.
1 minute left here in the second. Still just the one escape point from Troy Fisher. That is the difference.
Troy doing a really good job keeping his butt to the center of the mat, controlling the center of the mat. Now he's working Nolan to the edge with a right side underhook. Good job by Nolan to pass that elbow and circle back in.
Both wrestlers snapping away Troy Fisher. Hand on the head of Jacob Nolan.
Really even matchup here so far. Both guys, I mean, not only is the score even, but they're really trading shot attempts, trading control ties. Definitely effectively countering each other in each position.
And with that, it'll all come down to this third period. Troy Fisher recently ranked, just dropped out of those rankings, but Jacob Nolan, Jamie, has this season dominated his unranked opposition, not doing that tonight against Troy Fisher.
I do think that's a reflection of the different quality of the conferences between the EIWA and the Big Ten. And I'm not saying that the EIWA doesn't have spectacular wrestlers. Everyone in D1 wrestling is a great wrestler. But the Big Ten is a different beast entirely. And I think that reflects in something like Troy's record, where he's gone up against possibly, you know, so many top 10 opponents in the last couple weeks. And you lose those matches, but you keep them close. Doesn't matter. Still looks bad on your record, but he's definitely had the tougher matchups so far.
Now Troy Fisher has collected that right ankle, gives it up, wraps his right leg around and gets the three-point takedown. Maybe looking for back points here is Troy Fisher.
Super funky position, but Troy Fisher going with that's really is the Troy special, just a chain of offense. Starting out from a control tie, working across, and then finds a really savvy way to get that takedown. Although the Binghamton coaches actually challenging it, they don't think that Fisher had control, or at least enough control to warrant the takedown being awarded before Nolan got to his feet.
Kyle Borshoff, head coach for Binghamton, the one to throw in the green brick. Jamie, tell me what our officials are looking at here.
So it's a funky position when Troy is able to throw his leg around on the mat and slide it around. We call it getting a boot in. That is traditionally a three-point takedown, but sometimes you give the other wrestler reaction time, and there it is. So that's the leg in, the takedown, but then Nolan able to wrestle out. You could argue that there's reaction time there, although that's not traditionally how it's called.
And that takedown is confirmed. Jacob Nolan also gets his escape point. Said Troy Fisher maintained control for just 2 seconds, but enough to take the lead here with just under a minute left. And now Troy Fisher in on another single leg, sweeps the leg. I mean, picture perfect offense from Troy Fisher.
That was the definition. You look up in a textbook what a good single leg is, that was it. Beautiful timing, gets to his feet, straight to the finish, a nice back trip, and then comes right up on top and is working to keep Nolan down.
And this is an incredible performance, really, from Troy Fisher. Jacob Nolan is 20-2 on the season, almost sneaking into that top 10. And Troy Fisher has just put on a clinic here on the Resolite.
Definitely getting the opportunity to let out some of that pent-up restlessness from his week off the mat last week against Purdue.
Well, the escape point from Jacob Nolan would take a takedown and some back points for Nolan to get back into this one. Troy Fisher knows all it takes is a little bit of defending. Jacob Nolan looks gassed. And what a gift that is from Troy Fisher on senior night, finally getting back into the win column after 4 straight losses. That is exactly what Troy Fisher and this Northwestern team has needed this entire season. 5, Maciotti Audi, a true freshman. Carson Wagner, his opponent, also a true freshman. Binghamton looking to win the last 3 matches to head into this intermission on a high note. But Maciotti Audi, a funky wrestler, going to do his best to ensure that that does not happen.
Massey comes right into that 2-on-1, which is a position he really loves. Although Wagner coming in quickly with a single leg of his own. Starting out with some quick offense from both guys. Massey doing a good job getting his hips in, keeping Wagner's head down on the mat. This is a really hard position to score from. So, I mean, good wrestling by both guys. Nice 2-on-1 throw by Massey, followed up by a single leg from Wagner, and then some good defense by Massey to prevent that takedown.
Massey Odiotti, local kid from Wilmette, Illinois. First state champion in Loyola Academy's history. Carson Wagner, that first place finish in Pennsylvania at the state tournament, just eluded him.
Wagner coming in, doesn't have his hands locked, but in a cradle position, able to get a takedown, but no back points. It's always really funny going from heavyweight to 125, which is not a transition you see all the time, but much more high-flying offense from these two guys to start this match. Massey, another guy who's wrestled really tough, close matches against the best opponents in the nation. I mean, Matt Ramos, Eric Barnett, that Big Ten slate of opposition is just incredibly high quality. So although he might not be favored on paper, he's looking for an opportunity to show that he's got what it takes. He goes up against the best guys, he wrestles them hard, and he deserves to win. That's what he's thinking.
Last 5 matches for Massey Odiotti. All losses, but all against top 15 wrestlers. I mean, that just shows you how stacked the Big Ten is at this weight class. Matt Ramos, undisputed #1 for the moment, but really that could change at the drop of a coin.
Massey working in with that 2-on-1 again. Wagner just sort of backing up, but not going out of bounds, able to get the stalemate.
Odiotti 1-6 in dual meets this season. Tech Fall win over Maryland's Tommy Kapoor about a month ago. Carson Wagner looking for his 3rd consecutive win.
Wagner in on another single leg. Massey follows it up with a knee pick attempt, and then Wagner again on a single leg. So both guys trading offensive efforts here.
The second time we've seen a stalemate in that position. Odiotti defending, just trying to use his hips to push Wagner's head into the mat. Carson Wagner has had a really good true freshman season. Won the Wilkes Open, finished 2nd at the Matt Town Open. And a weight that really was up in the air for Binghamton. He's established himself. Now Odiotti in. It's the underhook on the right side in deep, but the left arm still fighting.
Massey with a really quick low single attempt there. Got in super deep, but Wagner able to just get his butt out of bounds and prevent Massey from finishing there.
Short time, snap from Odiotti.
A lot of action in that first period.
Very different from some of those matches we saw at the heavier weights. And the only difference at the moment, that takedown from Carson Wagner, about halfway through the first period. Now Odiotti will start on bottom. Try and cut down that 2-point lead. Massey Odiotti, mentioned earlier, from Wilmette, just north here of Evanston. Chose to stay close. His dad wrestling for Boston College. Odiotti wanted to come here after winning that state championship.
Comes up with a quick escape and now in on another single leg. Wagner in with a shin whizzer, so tough defense from Wagner, but Odiotti able to get his leg up and able to finish that single leg really aggressively with a club and back trip.
Really well done from Massey Odiotti. The escape and the takedown in 40 seconds. And now it's the Northwestern wrestler who's on top here at 125.
And Wagner's wrestled a good match so far, but Massey really in with the most offense. I mean, initiating most of those exchanges. Big lift and return, and Wagner uses it to get it up. Some savvy mat wrestling by Wagner there. But good effort by Massey, which he's rewarded for with the takedown.
And so interesting, just out of reach of your screen, but BJ Futrell has been coaching Massey Odiotti step by step through this match. Futrell, first-year assistant coach at Northwestern, two-time All-American for Illinois.
Wagner in on a single leg there. Massey tried a 2-on-1 throw by, and Wagner got in on a shot effort of his own, but now they work out of bounds. And yeah, Futrell and Massey, coach and wrestler, as you can see there, two guys with a really close relationship. Futrell's been in Massey's corner a lot, and you can see him on the sideline right now trying to wrestle this match right alongside Massey.
It's been an action-packed year for Futrell, head coach of Team USA at the U20 Pan Am Championships in Chile. Saw 9 of his 10 wrestlers win the gold medal.
Massey with that 2-on-1 throw-by to a double leg, and he's able to collect the takedown on the edge of the mat. I mean, really productive offense from that 2-on-1 control tie there, which is not necessarily something you see a lot at the lighter weight classes. It's just that dominant sort of match-defining control tie, but Massey doing a very good job working with it here at the end of the second period. Wagner needs to look to get his one here in the final seconds of the period to cut that deficit, but content to sort of sit, hold his base in that position. So good ride out by Massey. And there's that double leg by Massey. Gets his head across and just wraps up those two legs. I mean, that's just gritty offense.
And that arguably the best period we've seen out of Massey Odiotti in a dual meet this season.
I think he's felt like he's right there with a lot of these really good guys. Wagner, another tough opponent, and he's just chipping away and finally getting to some of his offense and scoring takedowns off it. We saw him against Matt Ramos last week, getting close but not quite scoring several times. Wagner in on a single leg here, but Massey able to get his hips in and extend him on the mat. Wagner really wanting to finish this single leg early in the third period to cut that deficit, but not able to get it.
It's such an exciting match it's been at 125. For Binghamton, it's Kyle Borshoff, head coach, who's walking Carson Wagner through the last 75 seconds.
Coach BJ Futrell still on his feet on the edge of the mat. Wagner with a nice little offensive flurry there, but Massey able to control it, bring it to the side of the mat, and they go out of bounds.
Just love this energy from BJ Futrell. It's not often that you see Northwestern's coaching staff be really vocal. They're more methodical in their coaching, but...
Well, now you're seeing a bit of a coaching style difference between someone like Futrell and someone like Matt Storniola, who is, I mean, the coolest cat on the mat usually. He's just calm and collected, but now even he's on his feet. Both guys really fired up to see this exciting match at 125. For Massey, a true freshman who's been, serviced at the weight class incredibly effectively so far this year.
And to come in, I mean, huge shoes to fill with Michael D'Agostino, but as you said, Odiotti has kept it close against the best wrestlers in this conference and in the nation. And what a win this would be, not only for him, but for Northwestern, still looking for their first dual meet win of the season.
Massey needs to keep looking for his offense, though. Wagner's been really explosive, and there it is, a takedown. Wagner looking for a bit of a throw-by, but just gets sat right down by Massey's strong defensive position. And now Massey able to widen this deficit a little bit more for Wagner.
Well, Massey Odiotti, huge second period, takedown late in the third to get his second dual meet win of the season. And just like that, Jamie, we have a dual meet on our hands, 11-6 in favor of Binghamton. Everything to wrestle for.
Essential toss-up weight classes. And that'll lead us into this final match where both of these wrestlers have the opportunity to win it for their team.
Well, top 20 match, Max Mayfield for the Wildcats ranked 20, For Binghamton, Brevin Casella, number 17. To have wrestled this season, and what a close match that was. Went to tiebreaker. Second period at the Cliff Keen Vegas Invitational was Brevin Casella who came out on top.
Casella in on a long double leg. I mean, he's a super lanky guy. Using that length, gets his fingers on the backs of Mayfield's legs, but not able to do anything with it. Max defensively very sound, but getting backed up on the edge of the mat here. He'll circle in hard, but they'll both go out of bounds, and it'll be called for reset in the center of the mat.
A decision win here for Max Mayfield, and we'd go to criteria. Any bonus point win for the Wildcat in Northwestern will get their first dual meet win of the season. Likewise for Casella, any win here, and Binghamton will take this duel. Max Mayfield did not wrestle against Purdue or Minnesota. Just got injured against Dean Hamady of Wisconsin, but now back wrestling against a guy who's 10-1 in his dual meets this season. I mean, talk about an opponent that's tough to return to. Brevin Casella is exactly that person.
But also an opponent who Mayfield is excited to get back to. You know, sometimes when you're coming back from injury, you need that goal, and Brevin Casella's got a target on his back right now for Max Mayfield, who, I mean, this win would be personally huge, avenging a loss from earlier in the season, but it would also be huge for the team. So an exciting match to come back into after a slight two-week break for Max Mayfield.
Max Mayfield finishing 5th the Big Ten tournament last season. Brevin Casella back-to-back top 5 finishes at the EIWA tournament.
Casella in on another long shot attempt. Doesn't really do much with it, but more offensive output by this really long and lanky 165-pounder.
So for Northwestern, if this match was to end by decision in their favor, Max Mayfield would need to win by 4 or more points. First tie-breaking criteria is pins. Have not seen a pin here tonight. Second criteria, total individual match points. But through this first period, no points between either of these two wrestlers.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but it seems it's possible that Max needs bonus points to win here. I'm not sure who has criteria. I would have to add up the score, although with the Trevor Trumbley tech fall, a decision win might be enough to qualify Northwestern for the dual meet victory, but I'm not entirely sure.
Max Mayfield will start on bottom. Caution issued to Brevin Casella. I mean, there's a very easy way for Northwestern to win this meet, and it's if Max Mayfield can win by bonus points. Try and keep this one from going to criteria. But against Brevin Casella, who's only lost 2 of his 28 matches this season by bonus points, it's a really tough ask for the 3-time Nebraska State champion.
Casella being really stingy on top here. He's got Mayfield in a crab ride position, trying to hook his right leg in. Mayfield getting a coach from the sideline by Coach Matt Storniolo. Casella, a really long guy, can be an advantage on top. He's clearly comfortable in this sort of side crab ride position where he's just able to hold on to Mayfield, threaten some a suck back or something like that to sort of limit Mayfield's opportunities from bottom. But
well, Casella's been working to wrap that right leg around this entire period. Finally does so.
a side headlock, I believe, here from Casella with a wrist, and now he's got both legs in. So this is the position that he was looking for. Interesting sort of trap wrestling on top, but the official will stop it since Casella not doing a whole lot offensively on top. The onus is on him in a dominating top wrestling, position like that. Really tactical wrestling by the Binghamton wrestler there, though. And he'll come right back to that position.
Brevin Casella still working on that left side of Max Mayfield.
Mayfield definitely has to figure out a way to deal with this position if he wants to get his one here. Casella able to burn clock down to 30 seconds. Although Mayfield now catching his foot, the Northwestern bench is fired up, trying to encourage Mayfield to scoot out and work for his one here, but Casella just so long, really effective in this position.
One swipe for Brennan Casella. Wow, really tough second period for Max Mayfield. All credit to Brevin Casella, just putting in a super tough ride on top. Rode Mayfield for that entire period. Now we'll see what Max Mayfield can do here. On the one hand, needs to cut into that riding time, but on the other, just needs to get to his offense.
At the end of the day, he was probably going to need a takedown anyway, unless he wanted to commit to a full period ride, which is not easy to do against any opponent. So he elects to cut Casella and is going to work on his feet here. Casella effectively with a 2-point lead, including the riding time, although that's not locked up. Will come in with another long double leg. Mayfield just getting tied up in the length of this opponent.
Mayfield thought about the underhook. I mean, Brevin Casella, not only are the legs super long, but the arms too. Can just really sit back and attack Max Mayfield at will.
I mean, he's able to hold on to those extended shots, burn some time off the clock. I mean, he wasn't looking to finish that single leg there. He was looking to hold on and slow Mayfield down, prevent him from getting to offense of his own, and sometimes that's a really effective defensive strategy. He'll be awarded a stall call against Mayfield, which in this situation, you know, as the wrestler who's trailing behind, you don't want to be in that. But Casella will quickly come in with a takedown. He wanted to score that one.
Well, Max Mayfield knew that he had to get going. Coach Storniolo told him exactly that about 20 seconds ago. But it's Brevin Casella who gets the first takedown of this match. Now Brevin Casella looking to turn Max Mayfield.
Back in that same position, Casella just on his hip with a left arm underhook, pinching Mayfield between his knees.
Everything to wrestle for here at 165. Any win for Brevin Casella, and Binghamton takes the duel, the first ever meeting between Northwestern and the Bearcats.
Same exact position. And now he'll get a stall call against him.
And Kyle Borshoff just asking why. Why the stall call on Brevin Casella?
I mean, I think in the spirit of the rule book, it's pretty clear why. It's a bit of a trap position, you know, I mean, effective tactical wrestling, but he's not doing anything. He's not really working to score. And he goes right back to it. This crab ride, just so frustrating for Mayfield. And Casella will get the decision victory and the team win for Binghamton.
Well, everything riding on Brevin Casella at 165 pounds, and he gets it done. You see the energy from Casella. Binghamton, 5 straight dual meet wins